What's up, Knucklehead? I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is your daily FaB gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming US Nationals and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaBery deck link available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, you'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Now, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. It's a new week, it's a new video, it's a new game. She is all over Talishar, continues to be easily the most popular hero from part the Mistveil. Possibly not the best, but it is hard to argue with this representation. I'm certainly expecting to see a lot of her at Nationals this weekend. So it's important to know how to play against her. Having won the die roll, I believe the easy choice is to go second. That is going to let us block out whatever she does on turn 0. Or not, depending on the stealth attack. We may not want to give her that early life lead, but after that, this is a sash matchup, as far as I believe, informed by my experience. We do want to set up that big turn to try to blow her up, or at least compensate for having to play a 4-card blood rush if our arsenal or hand was disrupted. And disruption is what new does. Persuasive Prognosis and Bonds of Agony are very good sources of hand disruption. Command and Conquer, Leave No Witnesses are great sources of arsenal disruption. Surgical Extraction gets a huge benefit in this matchup thanks to New's Dagger, giving it +1 power and go again if the dagger hits. And of course, New is packed to the gills with reactions. Hiss, Venomous Bite, Just a Nick, Arousing Wave in the arm slot, Undertow Stilettos in the leg slot. So our strategy here is largely to not block, because we don't want to get punished by New having reactions to get over the top of our blocks. And if we block with 2 cards from hand, intending to attack with the other 2, and New is able to pull a card from our hand with Siren's Call, or does get over the top of blocks with that Bonds or Persuasive Prognosis, and we lose one of the 2 cards in our hand, it may be that we can do nothing on our turn. So rather than play into the reactions, we just try to go above New's rate and beat her down before she can deal lethal damage. The strategy won't always work. If New is able to chain Premium Disruption together or hit a good Codex of Frailty to interrupt what we are doing, we can find ourselves in a losing position, but that is the strategy that is working best for me, and it is what I intend to do going forward. So let's submit deck and take a look at how that goes. Our opening hand here is fine on offense. We could send E-Strike, go again, and then send packing, but Persuasive Prognosis is going to mess with that. we potentially lose a card from our hand. Rather, we definitely will. We have red, yellow, and blue. But what is more important about prognosis is potential reactions behind it. And that is bad because on turn 0, we are incentivized to block from hand, as we are going to get to draw back up at the end of New's turn. The problem with blocking from hand is that prognosis says when it banishes an action card, New gains life. And based on New's hero power, prognosis will banish whatever we block it with. Our entire hand is action cards. Our entire deck is action cards. So where I might want to put 3 cards in front of prognosis to basically guarantee as much as possible that it doesn't hit outside of something like a Just a Nick Venomous Bite high roll. If we put 3 cards in front of Persuasive Prognosis and New just passes the turn, she gains 3 life and puts a blue into our banish. Not that Run Roughshod is particularly good if New is trying to play it after transcending, but it has potential value. That being said, I believe we can still outrace 43 health New than just as we could 40 health New. So I am going to block with everything but an E-Strike. E-Strike gives us the best offensive capabilities on our turn, as it is a guaranteed first chain link heading into a second. And it's unfortunate that we're going to give New 3 extra health, but I believe that is better than attempting to not block the prognosis, maybe put 2 cards in front of it, have her react over the top such that we take damage and lose extra life anyway. We see that she had Just a Nick. She also has a Siren's Call, so potentially in a position where she could have gotten us. She does gain the 3 life, but we stay at 40, and the only blue in our banish is one that she can't get a ton of value out of. This hand really lends itself to just playing it out. We're going to E-Strike for 5 go again, followed by Bear Fangs, send a solid 14 points of value, and leave our arsenal open. Command and Conquer loses value. Leave No Witnesses loses value. Codex of Frailty is a pretty bad play for New at this point, as her only attack is Persuasive Prognosis, and she would be unlikely to keep a card in hand after playing the Codex. So I don't mind not arsenaling a card here. It appears that I agreed in the past, sending that 5 go again. Let's see if I send the Bear Fangs or a Mandible Claw, though I can't imagine that I would Claw here. No, we are just going to send that Bear Fangs. Hitting the 6, Bear Fangsing for 8 with that Might. Putting New down to 30 is great. Definitely going above rate this turn. And drawing into a hand that is pretty trash. We do have some options for how we play out our turn. This Surgical Extraction is really not even that threatening. We lose, say we get hit by Surgical. We lose one of our 2 blues on our turn. We attack with Beast Within and then discard Agile Windup. Let's say we get hit by Surgical and New plays out Siren's Call. We lose our 2 blues, and now our turn is discard Agile Windup, Arsenal Beast Within. Not the best turn either way, but this hand isn't good. This is not a hand worth fighting for, trying to put equipment in front of the Surgical. So we're just going to say no blocks. If New has the reaction to keep going, a Hiss, or I don't know, something else to give it a go again, Path Well Traveled, that's fine. We can deal with that as it happens. If New wants to pitch into her hero power, then she, what's she gonna do? Hit us for 5? Okay. She did not pitch into Mask of Shifting Nightmares, so we still have that same line, which is Beast Within, discard Agile Windup. And yeah, we get hit by that Smash Instinct. So new, technically going above rate, sending 13 damage. We're getting to put a card into Arsenal, but our crackback is still fine. It's going to be 7 with a might and however much you value agility at. And we're sitting at a, I would call 27 healthy. We still have all of our equipment, and we even get 2 cards out of new. So anticipating that her crackback is not going to be all that special. Dagger, pretty inauspicious start for new. We will just take that. I imagine very few situations where we ever want to block Spider's Bite. And see Tunic into Death Touch. I could not imagine that new has very many zero-cost reactions that we need to be concerned with. Yes, new could pitch a blue into a Rousing Wave to get over the top of blocks if we were to put 6 in front of Death Touch. This could be Black Tech Codex, which would really not be all that bad for us. It would be annoying, but there isn't a ton of power in New's Graveyard, and I believe Persuasive Prognosis is her only zero-cost attack. Now, there's an Infiltrate in there, but I'm not particularly concerned. Which is all to say that I don't care about this Death Touch. We take 6, we go to 20. Death Touch very likely gives us Blood Rot Pox, which would put us to 18, but our hand is looking solid. We can just throw Swing Big for 9, go again, and then play Pulping. Crack in for 15 damage with a Might on the back end and keep all of our equipment. That sounds pretty good. So we are just going to pass here. Feeding into our strategy of never blocking anything and really putting the onus on new to find the disruption. Appears that Swing Big Pulping is going to be the play. Just trying to continue to go above rate. And if new takes all of this damage, she is going to find herself at 14, trying to convert 5 cards, but we have a healthy equipment suite. We still have our Scowling Flesh Bag. Thinking, well, if new is blocking with the Black Tech, then maybe she has a Black Tech play lined up. Let's think about how our Flesh Bag can disrupt that. Starting off with a Leave No Witnesses means that we are really anticipating Black Tech Codex as a follow-up to this, or even Hiss Codex, which means that we need to put definitely 4 in front of the Leave No Witnesses, possibly 5 if we want to play around a Rousing Wave. So let's think about what Fleshbag Scab Skins or Fleshbag Sash does for New's turn. She cannot play at instant speed unless she has grains that tip the scales to play around the Fleshbag Banish. So if she loses a card from her hand, she does not have Tunic available, and she would not be hitting, so she would not be able to get the Go Again off of Black Tech. So if we put 4 in front of the Leave No Witnesses and New has 2 cards, she could pitch to play Hiss, but that is her 2 cards. She could, I think that's it, honestly, because she does not have the way to give Go Again. She can't play the Codex. The only out she has is Grain That Tips the Scale Codex. Do we want to block for 5? Let's take a look at this hand, see what we're doing. This hand really looking like Wild Ride Claw Swing Big in a perfect world where we get to do everything we want to do. I don't really want to block with anything. We could block with Fleshbag Wrecker Romp. On our turn, we send Swing Big for 9 and Arsenal the Wild Ride. if we really wanted to play around grain that tips the scales, because if new has grain, she plays it at instant speed in response to the flesh bag, and then has a 50% to keep her codex. But I'm feeling a little greedy. We can block 4 here. We block with flesh bag, leathers, keep our sash in case of shred. I don't think news are playing it, but I'm not confident enough in that to risk my sash. So I do like blocking with flesh bag leathers. The safe play here to play around grain is flesh bag wrecker romp. Ooh, I like that. Blocking with sash, not being greedy at all. What a line. His codex. Who called it? So we're expecting that New banished a blue, which she is now going to put into her arsenal. Our turn is just going to be that Wrecker Romp, hopefully Wrecker Romp Claw Swing Big. Drawing into Blood Rush is interesting and also kind of not great, because we are going to arsenal this Blood Rush, but that does put it at risk to Command and Conquer or Leave No Witnesses. Honestly, I would have preferred to just draw a different 2-cost 6. Firing Blood Rush off here is pretty risky too. We get to do one thing unless we draw exactly a blue and run roughshod. So it's sort of a lose-lose. I don't love doing this, but again, putting the onus on New to have disruption just lets us get further ahead if she doesn't. So we are going to make the safe play here and arsenal Blood Rush. With us floating 2 resources, there's a chance that she kept bad cards because she thought that we were going to do something more impressive than just arsenal. So we'll see what she can do with a floating resource. Here we have the Preserve Tradition. That was the blue, as we expected. New does not transcend. We really don't care about this. And Codex, as the follow-up, grabbing Leave No Witnesses. We do need to block 5 here, as New has Arousing Wave to make a Fang Strike. So if we want to block 5, looking like Runner plus... It could be Runner plus Bonebreaker if we wanted to make a Might, but because we already have a Blood Rush in Arsenal, what we can do instead is Blood Rush Bonebreaker. Cover the 5, play our Blood Rush, really hope to hold on to the pulping so that we can get a potential sash turn out of that Blood Rush. But this is a lot better than playing a 3-card Blood Rush and having an arsenal that really doesn't do anything for us, because double Blood Rush turns on low card count, generally bad. Generally you get to do 2 things. You really want your Blood Rushes to get 6 value rather than just 4. And New is low, she's sub 20 health even with armor, but she's still at a high enough life total that 2 Blood Rushes for 4 each is probably not enough to strip her hand or do anything more impactful than just send a couple big numbers and then feel bad about ourselves. Do we want to sash here? It could be good for sure. We can Mandible Claw for... This is going to be 5 go again because of the frailty. That gets 2 resources away from our pitch. It also reduces the chance that our turn just ends if New has a defense reaction. So I think Claw, pulping, pitches a blue. I think we could Claw Sash. Would be fine. We would want to sash before we pulping, because if we discard our blue and draw into a send packing, or discard whatever we drew and kept a blue, we would only have 1 resource floating and not be able to play the blue. So I think we can Claw, Close Chain, Sash. Can also see how New blocks. That would inform our decision, and we don't need to keep a constant chain going. We aren't ninja. We do get a Sink Below out of new. I don't know if that necessarily tells us anything. I think breaking Sash here is fine. We are guaranteed to get an extra Chain Link out of this turn, where we are not guaranteed to do it with just these 3 cards. I disagree, which I think is wrong. You know, would have been sick to draw that swing big, but see here we're in a position where this Agile Windup doesn't do anything for us. So we'll discard it to make Agility, because it is better as Agility than being a 3 for 5 in our arsenal. But because we didn't break Sash before we attacked with Pulping, we just lost 7 damage. It would have been way more helpful to throw 7 more at new, potentially have her at 1, or have her give us her entire hand or equipment, than it would be to have an Agility. So not breaking Sash there, definitely a mistake. Here we have a Mistblade for 1. We have blocking equipment, but let's think about what we are trying to stand in the way of. New has Tunic, so her best line here would be Tunic Surgical for 5. We can block the Surgical for 5 with Bonebreaker, Leathers, CNC. But it is more helpful to make sure that New doesn't have Go Again on that Surgical if the line here is something like Mistblade Surgical Codex. So we can put Leathers in front of the Mistblade if the follow-up is Tunic Surgical. We do still have the ability to block with Bonebreaker CNC. New having a card in Arsenal. Again, the only way we get got here is with Grain that tips the scales. But even if New has Grain that tips the scales, to get over for 5, if she takes our Riled Up, we get to Bare Fangs. If she takes our Bare Fangs, we just Claw Arsenal Blood Rush. I think we're fine. I think we don't need to play around Grain that tips the scales, and at a certain point, if we play around it every turn, then it doesn't matter that she doesn't have it, because she might as well have. We're going to put Bonebreaker CNC in front of this. We are going to fire off Blood Rush Bellow. Unfortunately, we are going to discard this Bare Fangs, but we'll have 2 resources, 2 cards in hand, and our Sash. Hopefully, we will be able to put 2 Chain Links together and start threatening lethal. Great series of draws. We are only going to get we will have a resource floating at the end of this turn because of how Run Roughshod works and how it costs 0 under Sash. So we could, in theory, Pack Hunt Claw. Pack Hunt comes in for 10 with Go Again, takes a card away from New. She, in theory, gives us a single card to block 5, goes down to 3. We could pitch Run Roughshod to Claw for 5. New gives us another card to go down to 1. I think it is a little better to send 17 this turn instead of 15. I think that 2 is going to matter. And honestly, we will get more value by using Sash than we would by defending with it. So let's just break it. Again, we are late on breaking the Sash, but at least we are getting something out of it. Put New down to 4. She cannot just give us a single card from hand or just equipment. Well, technically she can. She can go down to 1. But again, we have her at 1. We're at 16. See her play. I want to say that was a mistake because she just lost a blue from her hand. But without knowing what she had, maybe there's a world where that was correct. Breaking Silver, playing into Leave No Witnesses. The way we get got here is by Leave No Witnesses, Black Tech Codex. At the same time, we have a Pulping in our graveyard. So if we do get Leave No Witnesses, Black Tech Codex, We discard our Bare Fangs, we get a Pulping, we block the Leave No Witnesses with Pack Hunt and Wind Up, and then pitch our Wind Up to attack with Pulping, and New needs to have exactly Sink Below in Arsenal to survive. Instead, New does not have Whisperer's Codex. Our turn is going to be Claw, pitch Wind Up, discard Wind Up to make 2 mites and give the Claw go again. Then we either Pack Hunt or Bare Fangs, and we'll math that out as soon as the Claw happens, as soon as we get that far. We get 2 cards out of New. Discard our Wind Up, and now let's math through what happens if we Bare Fangs or Pack Hunt. Pack Hunt takes a card out of New's hand and means that she needs exactly D-React in Arsenal, but if she does have D-React in Arsenal, then we get 2 cards away from her, and she gets 1 card back at the end of our turn to do something with on her turn. But if we Bare Fangs here and hit 8, then it doesn't matter if New has the D-React or not. Now she needs 2 D-Reacts. She needs 1 in Arsenal and 1 in hand, or 2 in hand. If she doesn't, if she only has 1, then she needs to give us 3 cards to live and gets to do nothing on her turn. So I do think that Bare Fangs is better. If New doesn't have the D-React in Arsenal, then she loses the game either way. But if we Bare Fangs, we are asking for more from her than just a D-React in Arsenal. We are asking for 2 D-Reacts. And she does have the Fate Foreseen. So maybe we did banish a Sink Below or a Fate with our Pack Hunt, but it's unlikely that she had both at the same time. At this point, we can send E-Strike for 5 go again, 7 go again, take hopefully 3 cards away from New, and then Command and Conquer. If we Command and Conquer for 8, and New, sorry, it wouldn't have go again. That's a terrible line, don't do that. Send the E-Strike for 7 go again, follow it with CNC, and put the onus on New to have another D-React, as well as blocking cards. If she draws into something that transcends, then she can't block the CNC. Did she have the D-React in Arsenal? No, well, not yet. So we are going to CNC here. Potentially we do just get 2 cards from her hand, but she does nothing on her turn, and we are just waiting to find a way to go over the top or 3 chain links wide. The ball is really in our court here. Keeping in mind too, we're at 12 life. So we're going to start with this Wild Ride, pitch a Wrecker Romp. Bare minimum, we Mandible Claw, run Roughshod. Potentially we could have gone even wider and taller than that. But here, again, putting the onus on New to have a D-React in order to not die. And in fact, she did not have it. So going not significantly above rate, but definitely over her rate is enough to get us there and get there with a healthy life total. She wasn't able to chain Disruption together, and as such, she could not stop us from playing out our game plan. And I think that is the best way to approach the New matchup. Don't fall for what they're doing. Don't make the mistake of trying to math yourself out of situations. Just take the damage, crack back with more damage than she can deal, and kill her that way. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. I hope we stop running into News on Talishar and start getting some other matchups. If you agree with all of that, be sure to take that like button to Pound Town. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, a YouTube subscription is the second best free way to support me. The best way to support me is to follow me over on X. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon. A link to all of this is in the video description below. And until the next time I see you, take care.